This is problem 415. It accompanies the second lecture for Monday, September the 14th. Okay, so we have the balance sheet of McCormick, and I already typed it up so that I can just refer to the numbers. You're going to want to type it into Excel as well so that you can use formulas to calculate the ratios and whatnot. Okay, so the first thing that they want us to do is compute a common size balance sheet for 2003. All right, a common size balance sheet is where it's a type of vertical analysis, and you state everything as a percentage of the total. On a balance sheet, the total is total assets and or total liabilities and shareholders' equity. Okay, so common size 20x3. I don't like dealing with x's, but well. Okay, so our total assets is a 100% figure. So for everything we do, we're going to divide by total assets. So cash and cash equivalents divided by total assets. Receivables divided by total assets. Inventories divided by total assets. Now, if you want to, an easier way to do this is to make the total assets absolute. All right, so at least the row number. So I want to put a $ in front of the 16, the row 16. All right, it didn't change the number or anything, but now what I can do is copy this formula down. Well, actually, I'm going to copy it to here. And copy it the whole way. All right, and then this is already the summation of total current assets plus the rest of them. So I should be able to just copy that across, and it should equal 100%. And so then what you want to do is block all these off. I'm going to block the whole column and change them all to a percentage with 2. Let me give it 2 decimal places. And these both need double underlines because they're total. 100 needs it as well. And actually what it needs is this one. And this needs a bottom. Okay, so this tells us what percent each of these assets are of the total assets. Then you're going to do the same thing for the liabilities. Okay, so equals short-term borrowings divided by total liabilities and equity. Then equal current portion of long-term debt divided by total liabilities and equity. And once again, if I want to be able to copy it, total liabilities and equities on row 33, I need it to always go to row 33. So I'm going to put a $ in front of it and make it absolute. And then I can copy it. I'm going to copy it to there. Actually, I can copy it all the way down. I'll just delete this one. And then this should be actually we'll just add that or copy that across. Yep. And let me make it a percentage. Put my formatting in. Y'all know that makes me happy. Okay. So that is it for the common size. Now, one of the questions they ask us, well, we need to do a little bit more. They also want us to do the rate of change balance sheet for 2003, whatever that number is. Okay, so what it wants us to do now, I'm going to make this wider. It wants us to do rate of change for the 2003. Okay, now the rate of change is a little bit different. When you do the rate of change, it's the current year minus the previous year divided by the current year. All right, so that's what we want to do. So for this first one, we're going to do, this first one would be 79 minus 63 divided by actually it's divided by the first year. And so let's go back and fix this little thing too, because this should be the previous year. And I'll tell you what messed me up. Generally, when they do the balance sheets, they'll do the current year first and then the next year or the previous years. And this one's messing me up in my head because they're doing the previous year first and then the current year. And I'm sure they're doing it to make it easier for your formulas, but it's messing with my brain. And my brain is already messed up. It doesn't need any help. Okay, so we're going to put in formulas. You need to use parentheses. So the past year, it's not the past year. It's the current year. What did I tell you guys? Let me just start that for me over again. I wrote it right, but on my head's doing it wrong. So open parentheses, current year minus the past year divided by the past year or the previous year. Whew, here we go. All right, so equal sign, open parentheses, current year minus the previous year divided by the previous year. Now, once you have that going, you could actually just copy it down. Okay. And you can even go all the way down with it. I don't know why I stopped. All right. And you could just keep going. And then these have an error message because there's no numbers there. So you can just delete those out. And of course, I would make them all percentages. And I wouldn't put any lines because these actually don't add down because you're taking differences going across. So they're not going to add down to any particular number. Okay? They just are what they are. Now, a couple questions that they asked us. which two asset accounts and which two liability and shareholders accounts are the largest relative to total assets in 2013 or 20x3. Okay, so in 20x3, the largest two assets relative to total assets are your inventories and goodwill. Yes, your inventories and goodwill. And I'm not going to write that out. Y'all can write that out when you have to do your other one. I'm just going to highlight it. So your inventories and goodwill are the two largest assets relative to total assets. And for this one, they want which two liabilities, which two assets grew the fastest, right? Okay. Down here we've got long-term debt is the largest liability, and retained earnings appears to be the largest equity account. All right, then it wants to know which ones grew the fastest. On assets, it would have been investments and other assets. I'll make these different color. And inventory, that grew. There was the biggest change in cash, but the other ones grew. All right, and the biggest growth in liabilities would have been the short-term borrowings and long-term debt. The current portion of long-term debt shrank by a lot, as did the other comprehensive income, accumulated other comprehensive income. All right, and that was what number 15 asked you. Then for number 16, we have to calculate a lot of ratios. And then provide a brief description of what each ratio reveals about McCormick. I think I will do that on a different video. So look for another video.